You love your weekly dose of bacon as my podcast, but you need even more bacon. Well, just go over to baconismypodcast.com. You can engage even more with us over there. It's a pathway to our music, extra content, our social media pages. Most importantly, grab yourself some pretty sweet swag and put it all over your body parts. Again, that's baconismypodcast.com. Listen to some tunes, pick up some merch, and tell us, what's your bacon?
All right, everybody. We're going to change some gears here.
Yeah, I'm excited.
We usually get musicians, we get wrestlers, we get
Random friends.
But now we have psychic medium, podcaster,
writer, author.
I mean, you may know her from the Travel Channel, Ghost Adventures, where she's been on a number of episodes. Actually, the Cecil Hotel was the most recent one. Ladies and gentlemen, the Good Witch, Patti Negri.
Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my... Bacon! Bacon is my podcast! Bacon! Bacon is my...
How are you?
I am excellent. Thank you guys so much for having me on. This is great. Thank you.
No, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. So awesome to have you. It's so cool. Like Mike was saying, we've had a lot of different kinds of guests, and you're our very first one that we actually get to dive a little bit into the paranormal and some really interesting fun topics like that, which I love. I'm a huge fan.
It's funny too, because my wife Jen, she calls me like a spiritual moron, because I just things just go right past me. But like I'm still into this stuff, so I'm real excited. And let's just get this right out of the way. We're from Long Island, Long Island medium. Is she the real deal or what?
I've never met her. I like her. And the fairies ring. She did that. No, I've never met her. I like her. I think she's actually done good stuff for our profession, made a little more mainstream. I mean, it's TV. Of course, it's TV. We understand editing and everything, because I personally don't think it's right to walk into a grocery store and go, "Your mother wants to talk to you," because that's not. It's not really ethical unless somebody asks you, but. It's television. They know she's there. There's a crew. There's cameras.
Yeah, you gotta sign some waivers and yeah. Cool.
Yeah, the magic of television makes a lot of things look incredibly spontaneous.
Yeah.
But I must say, with Ghost Adventures, it really is. Yes, there's editing, is everything, but Zach and the guys work really hard to have me not know anything. I go in there blind. I mean, literally blindfolded if I have to be, to not know what I'm doing or where I am.
How is that? Is that is that unnerving? Or I guess it's probably the usual now, but when you started, was that unnerving for you?
Well, yeah, because I'm just always thinking, it's like, again, they would give me an address, or they'd give me, and I wouldn't know that if there had been a murder or this or that. And then he'd go in and you tell us what happened. And that little left brain side of yourself, that logical brain, it's like, what if I get nothing? What if I get crickets? What if I get,
Right.
I've just got to that, because, and then once you start working that show, you know that the location has been so vetted that you walk in and go, 17 deaths, 1 over here, 3 over, you just,
right.
They did Cecil with me ridiculously so.
Well, yeah, they've done. I mean, they did it with the Cecil, but then they've also done it with like just random houses that have
all the time.
Which is pretty crazy.
Like 12 episodes now or so, and every time it's you walk in and you tell us what. Actually, what I do know a location, if I know. Like if I send them a place going, you're going to like the ghosts here, it's dark, or it's this or that, they don't have me do an investigation because they want it real and in the moment. Like I sent them to the Reseda house, they just had me talk out front. I sent them to the Pasadena ritual house, my Satanist friend. So I just introduced, and this is it. So I don't participate because they don't want anything to look like it could be known or staged. They'll do.
The Pasadena ritual house, that was an interesting episode because he was a character. an absolute character. So yeah, definitely check that one out.
Yeah, I
That's-
hadn't
didn't even
seen
know
that
you.
episode.
I didn't even know you had sent them there.
Yep. Yep. I sent them there because Richard Lale, the Satanist, is a friend of mine. Sweetest Satanist you will ever meet. I mean, he really is. He's like Mary Poppins in a little Victorian house. Satanist, but I knew that the spirits in that house because I had done seances there and stuff. So I knew Zach would like it.
That's amazing. I had one question on Ghost Adventures. When I started watching it, like one of the hooks to Ghost Adventures is how kind of combative and confrontational they are with the spirits that they go in. Was that something that I've heard people be like, you don't want to do that, and I don't like that they do that, or that it's dangerous. How do you feel about like that approach, and how have you felt in situations with them? Like,
well, actually, they hardly do that anymore. If you watch recent episodes,
Yeah.
because he has actually learned. If you're a ghost, if you're a human for that man, you go, hey, right, talk to me. Really?
Right.
You want to talk to them? It's like, screw you. I'm not going to talk to you. And
Yeah.
and they've actually learned to go in nice. If there's a reason for provocation or whatever they call it, they might, but rarely. I know Bishop Brian, he's the Catholic priest, one of the exorcists they work with. Now they do provocation. For some reason, I guess Catholic priests can get away with it. They want to tempt the devil, I guess. But
Right.
just learn better, almost always, unless there's really a reason for it.
Well, actually, funny enough, bringing it back to Long Island, they did an episode here at Katie's, a bar in a town called Smithtown, and actually they did one of those episodes, the after episodes, I forget, the follow-ups.
Yeah.
And basically the owner was like, hey, you guys came here, you stirred shit up, and now things are worse.
Right.
So, Zach made good on it, and he's like, yeah, we'll get it cleansed and all that stuff. But do you find that happens a lot with, I mean, listen, these guys are doing it for 12 years now or something like
12
that.
years, 24 seasons, 12 years. Yeah.
How often do you go into like a thing after the fact going, hey, like, you guys got to close this down?
As often as I can. And actually, they have started, I mean, Sally, we were doing one in Scottsdale, and that was the first time, because he knows I clean them, and I go and clear afterwards, like Rosita, all these, I'll go clear afterwards, so long as the people, the homeowner, whoever lives there wants me to. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just kind of feed on that dark stuff. But we were in Scottsdale at a house, and on camera, so I go in, feel out, this is what I saw happening. I almost fell over. Zach goes, hey, Patty, we're going to do lockdown, and we're sending you to a hotel. We want you to come back and clear the house on camera. It's like, really? On camera, to show that there's resolution, that you can get rid of the ghosts if you want to. And it was great. So we did it. And it was really good confirmation for them, because I went right to this bathroom mirror and I'm like, that's the portal, close it down. And I had no idea for the past however many hours and hours they were watching a little green stick figure go in and out of that mirror I went in to shut down. So it just validated what they did.
Wow.
And it was cool to get to do that.
Yeah, that is really cool. That sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Now, aside from from Ghost Adventures, you are an author. Old World Magic for the Modern World: Tips, Tricks, and Techniques to Balance, Empower, and Create a Life You Love.
Yep.
That's a nice long title.
That is
it makes musicians jealous.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it does.
I wrote it. And honestly, the title is longer than the book. I spent more time. I wrote it. It's like, because I realized in working with people, I work with people one-on-one all the time. And I realized all the similarities people have. And more than anything, we always give our power away. People give our power away to limiting belief systems, to other people, to fear, and just the tiniest tweak of a perception, you can create what you want. And everybody's gotten so asleep and numb. And so I would start saying the same thing. It's like, I am tired of saying the same thing. If I write a book, then I won't have to keep saying it. It's like, get my book, chapter 7.
Right.
But but I wrote it, and then I looked at it and I go, it's too many words. Because I remember when I started like 300 years ago, I would buy these big, great books on anything, spirituality, occult, anything.
Mhm.
And they would be overpowering, overwhelming, boring, or I wouldn't understand them, and they'd sit on the shelf forever. I would buy some skinny little paperback something that I could devour, and I would devour it and use it over and over. So I spent more time unwriting it than writing it, which is why it's like a bestseller in 5 countries, because you could go, oh, chapter on how to clear your house. Okay, psychic protection. Oh, how to talk to dead people after they've died. Oh, how to go on a diet. It's just, I love. It's just, it's easy.
That's awesome.
And I've heard you say a number of times that everyone has the potential to have that power, these abilities, or that the ability to kind of like plug into that, if you will.
Completely. We have gotten our modern non-mystical Western society, the magic is gone. I knew, I say this all the time, when I was a little kid, the so-called imaginary friends little kids have weren't imaginary. They were real. I could get real information. I could give it right to my parents. And it just didn't get taught out of me. But usually that's your imagination, Johnny. That's your this,
Mhm.
that's your that. So now we're moving into this age of Aquarius that they sang about in the 60s. More and more unexplainable to what we have known is going to happen. The veil is thinner, more paranormal or spiritual or weird or stuff is going to happen. So I think one thing that this paranormal world, I mean, spirituality is on the rise, witchcraft and everything is on the rise, because a lot of people are thinking their standard religions are keeping up with them. Some are, some aren't. But even just watching shows like Ghost Adventures and all those shows, for people who don't want religion and who don't want spirituality and don't want magic, it's like, but there's still something on the other side of the veil. So we're going to come paranormal investigators. It's bringing the mystery back, the magic, mysticism.
All right. We got to take a quick time out. As you could probably tell by now, Jim and I, we're t-shirt guys. And we're always looking for the most comfortable and best fitting t-shirts possible when it comes to ourselves or our merch. Sometimes they're soft and they unravel in a few washes. Sometimes they're durable, but they feel like sandpaper on your nipples. And it's just not our thing. Well, maybe it's Jim's thing, but it's definitely not my thing. And sometimes you clean your shirts, and from sweating at work or on stage, they just kind of get all funky even after you clean them. Well, Fresh Clean Tees is a solution for all your t-shirt woes. With multiple styles and colors, they keep you looking so fresh and so clean. Go to baconismypodcast.com, click on the sponsors tab, and click on the Fresh Clean Tees link, and start looking great and feeling great without spending a fortune. Again, that's baconismypodcast.com. Click on the sponsors tab, then scroll to that Fresh Clean Tees link to start looking comfortable and stylish at affordable prices.
Yeah,
now, so you've been doing this since you're very, very young. Is that have you just when did you realize that this is what you were going to do? Like, because my wife, I'm sure we've said it a couple of times, but she feels like she's very empathic to a degree, and she's seen things, and we both feel that my son is, and that's something that we're not really like, don't shy away from it. How did that, like, did your parents say, oh, don't worry about that, or did they embrace it too? And is that how you decided, oh, I'm gonna go and do this the rest of my life?
No, that came very, very late. They encouraged it, and I didn't have any kind of specific religion who said it was a bad thing. Luckily, we weren't raised with any kind of a religion, and my grandfather was a very powerful psychoanalyst, psychologist, very Freudian, practically evangelical atheist. So he thought anything to do with spirituality or mysticism or religion was just a weakness. He wrote books on religion. He hung out with like Isaac Asimov and all these big thinkers, very academic.
Mhm.
So God was a dirty word. But I would drive by a church or a temple or a mosque or a synagogue. I'd see the energy and I'd want to go in. And I think I was 13 before I was brave enough to ask. I think I wanted to see some cute Christian rock band at a Friday night church. And I was so scared to ask my mom if I could go to church. Like, ooh, that's the evil thing. And I mean, it would have been easier to go, can I go to a rave? Can I go to an orgy? Can I, because that would,
Right.
but she said, you can do anything you want. I'm like, I can do anything I want. And I became a seeker. I went everywhere, studied every religion, and kind of put it all down to what I see, which is energy. I see, and the through line of energy, whether you're going to typical Judeo-Christian or you're going pagan, old world pagan, or you're going new age, the energy within the same is there's the true line in everything. It's just different words. It's like a different template you put on top. But I always was part of me. I was always very witchy in my world. I was a psychic. I was in covens, but I fought it because I was in Hollywood. I was an actor. I was a dancer. And then I became a producer, and I had a very corporate production company. I would produce big industrials for like Microsoft and IBM and the top banks in the world. And fly around the world and do this stuff. And I'm like, it's so corporate. The HR, it's like, you can only touch an elbow. It's like these people that put their hands and their employees into my hands, they cannot know that I talk to dead people and dance around. Yeah, they can't know. So I kept it really separate. But then in 2008, when that big economic crash came and corporate entertainment became a ridiculously dirty word because of its misuse. It's like, no, we're not hookers on a plane to Bali. It's like,
Right.
we teach motivation. We teach this in the song and dancing, but corporate entertainment just died. They're like, our company's going out of business. We can't do this for our clients. We're going to give them a supermarket gift card instead. Gift card.
There you go.
But so somebody called me and they knew my ability to lift the veil. They knew my ability with seances. They wanted somebody legit. They wanted somebody with camera experience who knew what they were doing to do it. Please, Patti, please, we need somebody to do a seance on this reality show. I'm like, no, I can't do it. I'm sorry. Please, no, I can't do it. I just have to keep that separate. I don't lie about that. Please. We just, and I'm looking like going, I have no shows. And I kind of go,
Right.
Well, what is it? What's the name of the show? And she goes, it's called Mobile Home Disaster, and it's on country music television. And I'm like, well, nobody's going to watch that.
Right. Sounds great.
That's obscure enough.
Yeah.
Again, that was before 2008. It just hadn't blown up that, yes, they'll
Right.
watch everything.
Right.
And who's going to watch Mobile Home Disaster on CMT? I'll do it. And I went and I fell in love with the genre. It had my sketch and improv background. It's like, you mean you're just going to follow me around with 3 cameras? I get to do what I do. I get to do my empowering thing. I got to help this real little girl, human girl, and deal with ghosts. And this is the best. Oh my God, it's so fun. I'm doing good deeds. I'm getting to be me. But never do. I'm never going to do it again. This is great. And then when it aired, the very next day, my biggest corporate client called. It was a bank. She's like, "Hi, I saw you on TV last night." And I'm like, "Great, great."
Now we know who watches.
Worked for whoever again. And she's like,
Right.
"I didn't know you were into the paranormal. I love the paranormal." And we had our best, most intimate, real conversation ever. And I'm like, okay, I'm out of the closet. I'm out of the broom closet as a witch. I'm out of the psychic closet. I'm out of the medium closet. Screw this. And then that continued to go deep, deep, deep. I'm already in Hollywood. I'm experienced. People know me to a thing. And so I just became the person to call for when Nicole Richie needs somebody, Jeff Lewis needs somebody, or this the pit boss needs, and Bad Girls Club. It's fun because, again, I'm about empowerment. And how do I get to an audience I would never get to unless you're on some stupid show like, Mobile Home Disaster or Bad Girls Club or Beverly Hillbillies. And it's like, even if you're doing is kind of silly, you're these little urban girls beating each other up. I'm going to teach you how to be peaceful in your house. It's like, it's great. It's talking about getting your message. People who would never come to me or read my book, even for that matter, or come see me speak at a college. It's fun. So I still have my production company. I did one little thing last year. I don't have time for it. This has taken over my life, and it's great.
Well, and it's awesome how varied it can be too. You can kind of be on everything. It's not limited to you're only on paranormal shows or
No.
you're only on, it can kind of it reaches across, which like you said before, like it allows it to be people that aren't necessarily looking for it find an interest and
Yeah.
start looking more deeply into it and start going, "What that makes sense to me," or that I feel that way, or I see this. Um,
Yeah.
One of the things that I enjoyed also is that you when you were talking about energy, you've said that you see energy in a very literal way. Can you explain that a little bit? Like, is it
Yeah.
colors? Is it like what do you see when you see that?
Yeah, I see colors. That's like seeing auras and colors around people. And I also see the cords. This is what's just fascinating to me. I see the cords between people, like you guys have cord. And we use that terminology all the time. I cut the cords, no
Mhm.
strings attached. We really
Right.
have strings and cords to everybody, mainly in our life. And there's good ones and bad ones. There's silk ones and there's leather ones and there's nasty ones and there's bob wire ones. And then there's bob wire covered with silk ones. And all this stuff that keeps us together. When you walk into somebody, it's that, ooh, love, hate, or I love that person, or I'm scared of this person. That's all the energetic cords that we have.
That's so interesting. Do you see like, is that something that you just see all the time? Is that something that you choose when you want to, when you don't, or is it just
I have an on-off switch. I developed an on-off switch really young, as otherwise you'd be crazy. I don't want to be Long Island medium. I don't want to see people's dead. I'm an empath, like your wife, empath. You don't want to take on somebody else's stress and somebody else's headache and their sadness. So I do great big old fashioned on. Okay, I see everything. Off. I'm just regular. I can go to the grocery store in peace. I can walk around my house. I can play with my cat. Um, and then I developed a dimmer switch. So when you need a little bit in between, and it makes both sides better. It makes me not one of those crazy woo-woo people that you want to sit in the street corner. It's like, I don't want to be one of those.
right?
When you do turn it on, it makes it that much stronger. In the witchcraft, you would lay your broom down, your besom, your witch's broom. You don't fly into the sky, you fly between the worlds. But
Mhm.
if you lay your broom down on this side of the broom, there's your day-to-day life. You pay rent, you pay your mortgage, you go shopping, you drive. On this side, anything could happen. That's where magic happens, and angels exist, or fairies exist, or gnomes exist, or whatever that is. You have to be childlike, not childish, and trust. And the bigger the divide is, the stronger both sides get.
Wow,
Nice.
that's great.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was funny because you said the energy thing because Daryl Hammond. I just watched a documentary on him. I think it was on Netflix, and he sees people as colors as well. Like he'll just straight up just say, like, I see people. I'll label a person with that color, and yeah, just and the whole on off switch. I don't. At least you have that because I know sometimes my wife will be in like a crowded room or at one point we were being in a crowded room. She's like, I gotta get out of here. This is too much.
Mhm.
And how do you develop an on off switch? You just decide like, okay, I need to just shut everything out.
Intent is, of course, most of everything. Sometimes you want to add a breath to it. You want to add a body movement. I will, when I started out, it's like, first I want to, run, like, you come up, sometimes a physical movement will trigger it. I'm of that psychological belief system of mind, body, spirit in everything, even my book. There's 20,000 books written about mind, body, spirit. You'll never surpass your thought process. That's given. I can never do that. Now you probably can't. That's going to be easy. You've just made it easier. We get that. Mind, body, you have to take action. I want to get healthier. You can't sit on the couch. But the spirit part, that's what people are missing. That's what people don't know. And that's the battery that makes something happen. And actually, you could do it lots of ways. You could do it through your faith. Go to church, go to temple, pray. You could do it New Age, affirmations, vision boards. You could do it. What I would do, spell working, candles, herbs, oils, chants, down to roundabout fire. But whenever you combine mind, body, spirit, you get it. So if you're going to create yourself an on-off switch, again, figure out what that means, what it's to. Bodies take some kind of action. That's why I like a physical move. And the spirit is either, again, the faith behind it, or you're going to do some little candle working to make it happen, or something like that. And then you could go through your guys' whole life. Everything that you guys have accomplished and made happen, you've had mind, but you've believed it, you've taken some action, and you had some faith or spirit or energy behind it. The stuff you haven't quite made happen yet, you're just missing one or two, and they just need a little tweak, and then you make it happen. Unless you're breaking the laws of physics, to be, fly without a plane or something. But tell your wife to surround herself with mirrors. It's actually in my book, with mirror energy. Again, same thing, intent. I always snap light through my body, and then just picture herself inside a mirrored egg. Mirror on the outside, whatever she wants on her inside. It completely works. I would say you could practice it like in an elevator, a crowded elevator. We don't have crowded elevators right now.
Right.
Or at a concert, but once we do. And the thing about making it mirror is, if people are throwing energy at you at person, like those psychic vampires or those jealous people, weirdly, not consciously or not literally, with the mirror, if they're literally just throwing shade at you, not just the empath one, they're going to see how ugly they look. They're going to get a glimpse of how unattractive they are throwing that shade at you. And then, because it's mirror, that energy is going to kind of bounce back and just sting them just a little bit. Just a little bit. They're going to see, oh, that was ugly. Oh, it stung me. And they're going to kind of see through that mirror, and see it didn't affect you at all. So they don't even get the payoff. So like the next time, if they're doing it again, they're jealous and they don't throw so hard because they don't get the payoff. They're getting a consciousness of how not cool that is. It works every time. And again, to practice once we get in crowds again, in an elevator, escalator, when nobody's sending you bad energy, like say you are in a mosh pit and everybody's just doing their own thing, do this. I do a snap. I run the light through my body. I put the mirror on. Boop, boop, boop. People who are squished in with you, literally, they will step back and they'll smile at you because they see the mirror and they're not sending you bad energy. They'll kind of see their reflection and they'll smile. Step back and smile. Now, if they can't step back, if you're literally sardined in whatever, a mosh pit, an elevator, all of a sudden your personal space isn't invaded anymore. That easy with intent of a mirror.
Hey guys, I got a quick question for you. Are you dog people? If you know anything about us, you know that here at Bacon is My Podcast, our dogs are our family members, right? We love to give them a little something extra to look forward to every month, get them excited, and that's why we subscribe to BarkBox. So every single month, Bruce, Bane, and Bruno are treated to 2 brand new durable toys, plus like uniquely curated packs of treats. It keeps them excited, keeps them engaged, and you never have to go out shopping for stuff. So if you have a 4-legged furry friend that is your favorite, alliteration, we got a special deal for you. Just for being a Bacon is My Podcast consumer, if you head over to baconismypodcast.com and scroll to the sponsors, click on the BarkBox link, you'll get an extra toy in your first order from BarkBox. So head over, once again, baconismypodcast.com, click on the BarkBox link, and spoil your favorite 4-legged furry friend today. More alliteration. What's your bacon?
Yeah.
I love that idea of intent. You know what I mean?
Right.
I that speaks really, really well to me because I also have issues in crowds and in crowded places. And I've said before, I'm one of those people, I can be in front of a lot of people, but put me in in the middle of a bunch of people and I start to flip out and I need to find a wall to put my back to and I need to, reassess my situation. So I'm going to give that a try. I'm definitely going to do that. Thank you. That's awesome.
It works. It's crazy works. Yeah.
So one of the other things I wanted to you've brought up spirituality and religions and things like that pretty often. And I've always found it interesting. I went through a little bit of a religion search when I was a kid and tried to learn as much as I could about as many as I could. And I always found it odd how, because I was into a certain kind of music or because I wanted to dress or look a certain way, it was somehow satanic or evil or things like that. Now, why do you think religions have that? Some religions have that tendency to take that stance on things and on people that are trying to like looking at abilities and looking at someone that is doing the things that you're doing, seances and speaking and seeing, and they look at that and they immediately are like evil, dark. Why do you think that is? And I'm sure you've dealt with it forever and ever and ever.
It's control. It's control. They want, even Christianity said they want you to be sheep. They want you to be the lamb to follow Christ. Not that there's something wrong with that. Some people want to have a leader.
Right.
And if you look at the teachings of whoever that first sage was, who's, it was written by 12 people later. It's the people that change it because they want to control. It's like kind of like a governmental thing. Reincarnation was in Christianity until the 15th or 16th century. They took it out because well, people can't think that they're going to come back and what they do and do it then. We want them to know, be good here, do what we say here, and you'll get pearly gates later. Not
right. That messes up the heaven thing. Yeah. Like,
yeah, it's almost all control. I remember when I was doing all my searching, and I remember I went to a very evangelical church. Again, it is great. I'm not against anybody. I just don't like when somebody says we are the only one. It's like, really? To get from my house to you guys' house, there's lots of ways to get there. Who's to say one is better than the other? You could walk. But I remember it was a very evangelical in that day. And I'm like, I'm going to study everything. I'm going to study Judaism, Buddhism. And I'm going to go talk to a Buddhist next. And this evangelical Christian goes, oh, no, don't talk to a Buddhist about Buddhism. That's a sin. That's taking your eyes off God. You talk to us about Buddhism. And I'm like, no, I think I should talk to a Buddhist about Buddhism.
Yeah. I'm not going to go talk to a chef on how to change my oil.
Yeah.
I'll talk to a mechanic.
It's all about control. Humans, we're these weird, flawed, goofy, beat each other up things.
Right.
We want to control and we're insecure. And it's man that's pretty much messed up everybody's religion.
Right. Yeah, definitely. It's I always wondered if when I look back and I saw that, like, okay, certain dates were changed to coincide with other people's belief systems so that they could then more easily replace their belief system, but let them still do what they do on that day. When you look at like Halloween and you look at Christmas and you look at Easter and like all those different things, I always found that to be, and whenever you start asking questions about that, it's just kind of like, you don't need to ask those questions. It's like,
no, it's like,
no, I think I do. I think
I do. The right. And again, and if you look again, the through line of energy, they're about celebrating life. Jesus on Easter has nothing to do with bunnies and eggs and fertility.
Right.
It's a pagan fertility time of spring. Everything was land-based. We made it through winter. Yay. Let's have sex. Let's grow things and flowers.
Right. Yeah.
But they wanted, if they put Easter right there to match up. Same thing with Christmas. Jesus had nothing to do with pine trees and Yule logs. He would be a palm tree or a cactus, but they had to put it in to fit into Yule. But if you look at the through line of the religions, again, it's Easter, it's spring, it's the coming of the light. Oh, Easter, it's Yule, it's going underground. So different templates.
It all coincides.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's based on, now that your work is now not, it's not taboo anymore and stuff like that, you've kind of become more of a presence in pop culture. But now you've started the podcast. So can you tell us a little bit about the podcast and what I noticed that I've listened to a few episodes and it's definitely it brings a more positive light to it. And you had your first guest who was on Ghost Adventures and he did the mirror, one of the haunted mirror with Father Sebastian. And you definitely bring a lighter message to the whole, just the whole thing. I'm losing train of thought.
There's so many misunderstandings. I mean, people misunderstand, which is bad enough. That's getting better. They really misunderstand vampires because I met him on Ghost Adventures, not the last Christmas special, not Halloween special, the one before. And we just became like basically social media friends. And then he offered to fang me. And I'm like, intriguing. I don't know. But my idea of vampires isn't really positive. It's not the good or evil, but don't you guys suck energy? Do you guys suck blood? And then I started reading his books. He has a lot of books, Black Veil. It's like, oh, your magic is just like mine. Slightly different template used. They don't drink blood. They live off it's life force of life. It'll go, and they're a little hedonistic, but it's completely my same magic. And we're like best friends now.
That's
The way
awesome.
That's great.
I preaching, and like we'd had Vampire Con 2 years in Vegas. We had the Red Cross truck come. We gave blood. Nobody's drinking blood. It was
Right.
giving money to anti-bullying charities. It's a whole different thing. But yeah, by the podcast, because I like to learn. I am always learning. I will never, ever want to stop. I teach and I learn all the time. It's like, what do I know? I don't know enough about Peruvian shamanism. Well, I'm going to study Peruvian shamanism for a year. What is their template? Oh, they're real earthy rocks and this and that. So I decided if I started this podcast, and it's really, again, just like my book, about people making your life happier, making your life better, just finding little tips and tricks to do. So now I get to bring the best in the world from all over, and I get to learn every week. I like from Kadrick Olson, who's a Nordic rune guy, and I didn't know enough about that, how you sing the runes and healing. I'll have the best astrologer, Kyle Thomas, the best feng shui, Anita Rosenberg. I'll have the young witchy guy, Alex Kazemi, it's just great. And, people get to learn things and get entertained.
I just like how
Scary.
I really like how you make it all a common thread that you kind of lump it all in together. Yeah, you do your way, but it all goes to the same place.
Because again, what I think, if we get in touch with ourselves, maybe you don't need somebody to tell you right and wrong. We should know it ourselves. We really do have this moral code of sorts, not morality, who's doing what with who, but and you shouldn't get into magical arts if you don't really know right and wrong and what you should do and shouldn't do. If you don't, then you should go with a religion that tells you what to do or not if you don't know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But the more we get in touch with who ourself is, it's great getting in touch with, I shouldn't do this because I shouldn't do this, not because I'm going to be damned.
Right. Well, you see societies and people and groups and tribes that have never been taught a certain way of thinking that's so linear, and yet they are able to have interpersonal relationships and do the right thing and treat each other with respect. And so it's not, we're not born completely blank slates, I don't think. I think, you if you give someone a chance to think about right and wrong, they're going to kind of know, because you have a feeling, you know what I mean?
And most of us are good. Most people are good. Yes, there's the tyrant. Yeah. Yes, there's a big evil leaders. Yes, all of that. But as a rule, most of us are good. We just are a little flawed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And my closest, if you go, what do you believe, afterlife and stuff? I think in my experience of studying this for years and years, it's closest to the ancient Sumerian belief system, which is pretty much you go to the heaven you believe in. Like if you believe in pearly gates, you're going to go there. If you believe in reincarnation, you're going to do that, which is kind of closest to the matrix. And that's where spirituality and science is all coming together with quantum physics. It's all there. Even if you look at plain old ghost hunting, how they're coming to get their equipment. Ghosts can talk through my cell phone now so easy. They're learning how to do that. I got a call from my husband's best friend and bandmate the other day, and he's been dead 5 years. A call from David Coleman.
Wow.
I picked it up.
Yeah.
He wasn't there. I picked it up. He wasn't there. I called back. It was disconnected, but call from David Coleman. They're learning to use all this because, again, their energy, we're energy. Yeah.
Yeah, some of the tools that they use on any of these ghost hunting things, it's insane. It's amazing how it's come so far, like the technology. Is there a specific tool in the arsenal that that maybe people see on Ghost Adventures that you use yourself?
I am totally not technical. I have this new talking, it's like an ovulus. It's like a crystal ball. So it could look like I'm in a seance, but it's like an ovulus. I just use it. If anybody wants to see the absolute most intelligent, amazing paranormal experience ever, it just launched on YouTube. It's YouTubers, TFIL. They're the #1 paranormal YouTubers. I just spent the night at the Biltmore Hotel in Los Angeles. We would say ring in this room and the ghost would ring in this room. We say ring in that room and it would ring in that room.
Wow.
I've never, even Ghost Adventures, even all my years of doing this. And then 3 days later, they run it the whole Cecil, and that's going to air next week. But it's fun because for years I'd be going, and the ghost is going like this, crisscross, crisscross, crisscross. And people believe me or not believe me. Now there's a guy with a camera in the other room, an SLS camera, which shows ghosts as little green stick people, and they're going crisscross, crisscross, exactly what I'm seeing. We're separated from, it's like, validation. But for me, the about as technical as I get is dowsing rods, plain old dowsing rods that you use in the desert to find water. Contractors use them to find water lines, but they're really great divination. They cross on yes, not a no. They'll point to ghosts and portals. This is no batteries required.
Yeah.
Do the pod decks now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we have a sponsor called Pod Decks, and they're a really cool company that has these little decks of cards, and they have different subjects, questions, topics, things like that on them. So for podcasters, if they're not like us and are able to just talk and talk and talk and talk and never shut up, and they need to come up with something, they're really, really good. If you've ever played the game Cards Against Humanity, it's very similar to that. So what we like to do is to honor our sponsorship with them is we like to pick a random one for you to answer. Are you cool?
I love it.
Awesome.
Cards. That's awesome.
Yeah, super fun.
Well,
my next door neighbors wrote Cards Against Humanity.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. I love that game.
I moved in. I'm like, woo!
These are very similar, and I've even aside from just on podcasts, like I ordered some over Christmas time to use here on the podcast. And I was home with my family, and they came, and I was like, let's just kind of use these, and we were just striking up conversations and interesting questions and stuff. So I think they're awesome. Anything that's a silence breaker.
Yes,
I think it's great.
Exactly. So they have 5 different decks. We usually pick from 4. There's the What the Heck. There's the Interview Deck 2, Would You Rather, and then I think the Interview Deck 1 and the Episode Deck. So, Patty, which one would you like to pick from?
The red one.
Red one it is.
That is the Would You Rather.
Okay.
And while I do this,
yes,
you can explain the reason why I'm doing
it. So Mike is going to do the shuffling, because as a person, and again, I feel like I tell this every single episode, I used to live in Las Vegas, and I cannot shuffle cards at all. I am terrible at it.
It's actually kind of cute to watch.
It's pretty terrible. It's pretty terrible.
Square peg, round hole.
That's me generally.
Perfect. So if you go to poddex.com right now, use the promo code BACON.
Yeah,
you get 10% off your order.
They also have cool swag and cool t-shirts and all kinds of fun stuff over there. So definitely check it out. And they're super cool people. If you email them with questions, they get back to you. They're awesome people.
All right, so Jim, you can do the finger. Patty, you tell us when to stop.
You tell me
and then
when
we'll
to
pick
stop.
that card.
Stop.
All right. Your question. Would you rather have your jaws wired shut for a month, drinking only out of a straw, or wear an eye patch for a year?
Oh, well, I'm going to go with if I wore the eye patch, I would probably get dizzy and fall down. I will go with the jaws wired shut for a month and decide it was a diet.
There you go. Right.
Yeah.
I lose a couple pounds.
That'd be so hard.
That's a tough one, because one's the shorter period of time, and then the other one's less invasive.
We're foodies here.
Yeah,
that's our major problem. Yeah. So that would be our big problem is I would look like a pirate for a year. That's okay. I think I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, could I switch the eye patch to different eyes depending on
I don't
how I
know.
felt that day?
I don't know. How do people feel about you driving with one eye?
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that I feel weird about driving with both their eyes. So
That's a good point. That's a very good point because no, I think I would be okay with that, especially because at that point it's like, okay, well, designated driver, I can't be that.
right,
Sorry.
I got an eye patch.
So no,
I'd have to get on a boat at some point, though. Just have to.
and
yeah.
a peg leg.
So one of the other things that I find super interesting is the idea of the veil. So to jump right back in after our podcast question, but I've been thinking about it because I do listen to I listen to paranormal podcasts, I watch shows, and the idea of the veil is always very fascinating to me, and the way I kind of am picking up how it's being described, and you can let me know if I'm close or if I'm wrong, is that like it's almost the closest thing would be like looking at like Stranger Things, right? Where it's kind of like just two sides of the same thing, and we exist on one side, and then these other things, entities exist on the other side. And occasionally they're able to pass through and jump into our side. And I've heard that explanation for everything from like Bigfoot and aliens to them existing on one side and being able to like pop over, and that's why we see things and then all of a sudden we don't see them again. I've heard it described as far as like when people pass over or people pass away. Does that make sense how I'm describing that? Am I kind of like on that? Because that's what it seems like to me, and it seems super interesting.
Very much so. Yes, very much so. Again, here is our gravity-ridden, three-dimensional, held on to Earth world. On the other side of it is the everything else. Ghosts, people who are dead, those who passed over, those who haven't, those are stuck. There's the other realm of things that were never human. If you want to get into angelic or demonic or the fairy realm or the cryptids or the Bigfoot, all that. Yeah. And when I was, for some reason, one of my gifts when I was little, I was able to lift the veil. I would come up with sounds and chants that all of a sudden everybody in the space would get more psychic. They'd be able to see. That's what my seances are about. So whether it's 13 people around my dining room table or a college with 600 people, to lift that veil, then everybody's more psychic. You're seeing, you're hearing, you're smelling, you're tasting. You have to let them know what that is. So, and then even when you close it, everybody keeps a little more in tune, because I think we all need to be a little more in tune.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's just an amazing thing. I would love to experience that. I like experiencing things and learning things, and that's just been one of those things that I haven't been able to kind of like figure out. But it's so fascinating to me.
You're invited, both of you, as my guest to any of my seances. I've been doing them on Zoom for a year, and they're completely accurate. It is like we are just like this. I will get names and this and that, who has a 3-legged German Shepherd, and it's just like we're table like this. And as starting in 3 weeks, I'm going to start going on the road again. I'm going to be in Salem. I've got Vegas. I've got Texas. So any of my seances, you guys are my guests, whether real or virtual.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm definitely going to take you up on that.
Yeah. It's funny too. Cause like, I don't know, like, again, a spiritual moron. So I get the concept of it. I just don't get how I see it, you know? And I guess you don't really know until you experience it.
What it is, you just overthink. You have to shut down that left brain. That left logical brain will shut this down. You can't go, woo, I think Grandma's standing behind me. Oh, that doesn't make sense. Somebody opened the window. You just shut it down. You just kind of go, yes, yes, yes. You know, if you want to analyze it, wait 2 hours. Was that grandma or was that indigestion? Fine. The more you say yes. You know, when I'm doing a thing, lift the veil. It's again, that's where that childlike, just have faith, just trust. It's be skeptical. It's okay, but just be a little bit open and see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not a skeptic. I'm just
overthink it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I definitely have that too. I have a little bit of that analytical logic side because that's how I approach a lot of other things.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to approaching stuff like this, I'm like, I want to believe and I want to see, and because it makes more sense to me than a lot of other things,
Right.
a lot of other reasons that people tell me. I'm just kind of like, well, why not? Why wouldn't it be? Like, why? There's no reason.
There's no reason. And spirits love it because spirits are fine. Dead people are fine most of the time. But then they have no time and space. But when we're talking to them directly, it's like they have time and space a little bit. It's like, ooh, the good part of being alive that they don't have anymore, they get. Hi, whether we're on a Ouija board or on channeling or whatever that people are seeing it, it's like we're having a real conversation. And so it's a win-win. And I've gotten amazingly, it's not all, and the butterflies will show up for you. I've gotten things like iPhone codes for spirits,
I read that it was a family that lost the father, unfortunately, and they couldn't get into the iPhone to get photos and stuff. I read that or heard it in one of your visits on one of the shows that you were on, and how you were able to get the iPhone code to get them all their photos and get them in when Apple wouldn't even do that for them because it's against their policy and stuff.
Yeah, Apple wouldn't. It's like, well, I should have just talked to a medium.
Right.
Yeah, it was at the same time when there was it made national news that the FBI or somebody was trying to get Apple to do it on some kind of a criminal case, and Apple was like, oh no, it's like, oh, huh.
I can do it.
Here you go. This was in the questions, so I don't think I can wait. So one of your interviews I actually listened to today.
Mm-hmm.
You were at a seance and somebody spontaneously combusted.
Yeah,
that is crazy.
Yeah, I wrote that down immediately. I was like, I need to hear this.
This is still to date the biggest crazy fun. Okay, it's my neighborhood. I live in the Hollywood Hills, the old first movie enclave right under the Hollywood sign. And this is my neighbor around the corner. It was a house. It was built by Charlie Chaplin for his girlfriend, one of his many girlfriends, Mary Astor, a silent film movie star. It was a old Hollywood party house, crazy wild parties, party. And then so they lived there. And whenever you heavy partying and stuff gets in. And then the Rolling Stones manager bought it. So the Rolling Stones stayed there. The Mamas and Papas, Graham Parsons, all these people stayed there. And then they moved out. And then the person who invented the real life sex doll moved in. And he felt all sorts of stuff. Then he moved out. And then Marilyn.
That's some interesting energy.
What
right
an eclectic group of people have had that.
And then Marilyn Manson. He was my neighbor for 7 years. Marilyn moved in and he recorded in the basement, dirt basements, always a dirt basement. So again, the house, no family of 4 is going to move into that house.
Yeah.
It looks like it was built by like Masonics or something like, oh, look there is a compass, in the wood floor on the entry. There's exactly 12 levels of this very sacred geometry, 4-level windy staircase. It looks like a haunted house. So they were doing a documentary about it. And so they called me in to do a seance. And young people, when you're just past puberty, before you get very far into your 20s, have lots of life force. And that's when stuff is going to happen, paranormal stuff, lots of life force. So I always say, just be open and be respectful. You could be a little skeptical, fine, but whether you believe it or not, it's real. And you get into trouble when you're not respectful. But this one kid was just being real assy, and he would, maybe because he was on TV, we had 4 cameras, I must say we had 4 cameras, but he would say stupid things. And I felt this one spirit getting really cranky. He wasn't demonic. Most demons get way too much credit, but he was cranky and he was very theatrical, big in life, big in death. The quiet little school marm is going to be a quiet little ghost. Some big Hollywood whatever is going to be big Hollywood. And he was getting pissed. So first, cool things were happening, like the French doors flew open, everybody's screaming, and I'm like, the producer side of me is going, wow, that's pretty cool. That's like special effects, but I wouldn't ever do that, and I would never ever fake anything. My reputation depends on. And then I'm feeling this buzz coming into me, and then boom, happened again, the French doors, people screaming, and then more and more, and this guy is getting just really rambunctious. And then the speakers on the floor, old school like speakers, how big can you get on the floor? came on with this white noise. I sounded like a spirit box. Everybody's screaming, and is building. We looked later; they weren't even plugged in. That happened twice.
Wow.
We're working with the Ouija board. We're getting this information of something that pretty dark that had happened in the 30s, and this kid said something really stupid, and not him, but the cameraman facing him burst into flames. His back,
Wow.
be like angel wings of fire up his back. Two cameras caught it. One camera didn't catch it. It was like, hit the ceiling, hit the floor. His camera, of course, he's facing the other way. He's like, why is everybody screaming at me? And why is my back getting hot?
Right.
So, cool witch medium Patty becomes medic Patty. And I'm an EMT. I'm like, drop and roll, blah, blah, blah. And I'm
Right.
all these shutting down. I don't care what we're doing. Nobody burst into flames online. We're watching the blistering. His shirt burnt off him like poof. And it was cotton. It should not have done like a polyester or nylon. It's like, oh my God. But the cameraman, who was a total skeptic, he was like inspired. He's like, no, I'm okay. I'm like, no, you're not okay. No, I'm okay. I got a sweat off the burnt shirt. I talked to the ghost. I'm like, we're not even going to get rid of you at the end of an hour. Shut it down. Please, we don't, the kids are, and I knew the kid was not going to be trouble anymore.
Right. Yeah.
He was the choir boy in the corner. So we finished, we had some more crazies. A glass threw out from like 10 feet, nobody near it. And I'm like, wow, they did try to push my cameraman off the cliff at one point. But but the coolest part, which makes this kind of crazy cool, and we did catch it on camera, is that 3 weeks later, the cameraman, the previous skeptic, showed me his back, and the small of his back looked like he had got a tattoo of a dragon. It had an open mouth, really sharp teeth, winged head into the shape of a serpent.
Wow.
That's the exact energy I called in to show. I work dragon, like scary, huh? I work dragon magic. I work dragon energy. That's exactly my guardians on the four corners that I called in to shut down the seance. And I'm like, oh my God, you have a tramp stamp of a dragon on that is so freaking cool. And
That is really cool.
He actually wrote a script. He wrote a horror script with Stephen Norrington, the guy who wrote League of Extraordinary Gentlemen,
Mhm. Yeah.
Blade series, Hollywood. He's very left of center now, but they wrote this horror script. They haven't done it yet. I hope they do. Called The Portal, and it's about TV psychic who does all the shows, and then a portal is open. Then it becomes a horror film. But
Right.
I sat with him for 5 hours, and I go, "You can't say that. You can't say that on camera." He goes, "But you said that." I go, "I know I said that. That opens a portal. You can't say that.
Right.
You want to be one of those cursed horror films, do you? Where all the actors die within no, let's give up some words that don't mean anything." So that will happen. And that's what does happen. Ghosts, spirits, energies, whatever, do not know the difference in TV and camera and written lines and the real thing. And that's what happens sometimes.
Yeah.
So if they
Why-
do, it'll be fine.
Why do you think that he was? I mean, I don't know, was he targeted or not? But why do you think he experienced that as opposed to the one mouthing off?
I think if we go into a greater, bigger picture of things, if universe, some God's up there going, oh, this would be funny. Let's go for the skeptic. Number who happens to also be a documentary filmmaker and writer. He's the guy who did the Bronies film, that one about adult fans of my
Yeah.
he makes all these kind of films. He's made a Jedi film. So I think in the great scheme of things, it was who else?
Okay,
Wow.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Jim was a brony once.
I was
Yeah.
a brony.
Halloween.
I was
Cool.
for Halloween. Yeah. I was a brony for Halloween.
Yeah.
My whole band was.
That's
I was a
awesome.
Ghostbuster that year.
Yep.
I love it.
So, with the popularity and the more exposure of people that are in the mediums and witchcraft and things like that, more people are, of course, seeking these things out. How do you kind of differentiate from somebody who's legit and who's somebody that can be helpful to you, and somebody that would go special effects, because that definitely ruins the name of whoever's being legit. How does someone kind of tell the difference if they're looking for help?
do your research. Actually, yeah, and honestly, we are the worst for everyone legitimate. And I don't mean TV shows and what's what. I
Right.
mean, people go to a psychic, people go to a medium. You're always at your most vulnerable. And sadly, for every one good and legit, and there's great ones, there's 10 scam artists who are going to tell you, oh, there's a family curse attached. You're never going to find love. It's because of this.
Mhm.
Now you need more money. Give me more money. If you, yeah, we got to get it. And it's that old, it's been around forever and ever and ever. So years ago, almost 10 years ago now, this guy, he's one of my mentors. He was a teacher. He kind of fell in love with, he goes, if anybody needs a professional organization, you guys do. You know, doctors have them, lawyers have them, plumbers have them, teachers have them, where there's testing and all this stuff that, so he started the American Federation of Certified Psychics and Mediums. Sadly now he's of ill health and not doing good and there's nobody to run it. But we go through rigid testing. If you want to say you're a psychic, you have to have somebody testing you, and that somebody you don't know, and how is your, besides your psychic ability, how is your presentation ability? You're not going to say anything that's going to go make somebody kill themselves and stuff.
Right.
If you want to be an astrologer, you are tested by the world's best astrologer. If you want to be a crystal healer, and it's great. So it's a big testing thing, and then background checks, and never done for scam artists. But sadly, we're not really active right now. So honestly, go to Yelp for one. If you're going to somebody, because almost those street corner ones are a little scary.
Right.
Metaphysical store ones, if you're going to a psychic or medium that are in the little occult store, the metaphysical store, the spiritual shop, you know, people are going to come back. They're going to have legit people there. They'll oftentimes little street corner with a big hand, I'll read your palm for $5. That's always a few. That $5 is going to turn into every dime you have.
Right.
Be wary of, and check Yelp, because so many people I didn't know, and then they'll go see scam artists. There's all sorts of things, and people fall for it because they're vulnerable. And it's not just stupid people. I had this one couple. They were intelligent, they were rich, they came all the way up from San Diego to Hollywood, and they were going to a concert, right, to a psychic, a street corner one, but a well-known high-end one on Melrose. And she had told them they were 9 months pregnant and completely happy. She had told them that they had some horrible curse and whatever, had already gotten $25,000 from them.
Oh.
And wanted another $75,000 from them. And they walk in, I'm like, no curse.
Yeah.
No curse. And they, you know, luckily they did something about it. They got their money back, but most people,
Right.
they'll take their last. I have one of those Reseda House boys, those little druggy, whatever. He was having a taco, different, and somebody comes up to him, you need a reading. And he's like, I don't have money for a reading. What do you have? I have $14. Took his last $14, but by the end of the 15 minutes, you have a curse attached. I have to take it to the church. You have to have a $25 candle. You have to have a $400 box to bury the demon. It's like, if I was a demon, would you buy him a $400 box? Really?
Right.
It's like, no. So just check, you know, friends, referrals. There's beautiful, beautiful ones who just want to help you. And no upsell, no, the worse you are, the more you have to pay.
Well, cool. Good information. Thank you. We've taken up a lot of your time at this point, so we should probably let you go. But this has been awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been really, really cool having you.
You guys are great hosts. Thank you. You guys are good. You have
Thank you very much.
I know you guys are really good.
So Patti, once again, can you tell our audience where they can find you on all the socials and the interwebs and all that stuff?
Interwebs, yes. My website is pattinegri.com, PATTINEGRI.com. You can sign up for my newsletter. I say monthly, but it's every 2 or 3 months. Magic and things you could do yourself. Patti Negri Psychic Medium on Facebook. And that's one with the blue check, because sadly there's fake Patti. I guess, is that a sign of success? Fake
Yes.
Patti.
I think so.
But it's terrible. Somebody keeps doing it on Instagram, and then they are contacting people and telling them they need a reading and give me your credit card. I mean, I would never do that. But Instagram, I'm Patti.Negri. Twitter, Patti Negri. I have a YouTube page. Again, I teach lots of stuff for free, and I teach every week. So I'm pretty easy to find.
And don't forget about the podcast.
My podcast, Witching Hour. Oh my gosh,
Yep.
thank you, podcasters. No, Witching Hour on Apple, Spotify, Podbean, all the usual places. Witching Hour with Patti Negri. And I have amazing guests. You guys got to come see.
Awesome.
We'll definitely be checking it out. If you do listen to her podcast, give that a 5-star review. Much like if you're listening to our podcast, give us a 5-star review. It helps with the algorithms and helps us just get heard and seen by more people.
Yeah. Now, Jimsy, if people need to see you, where do they find you?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at Jimmy G Shoes. You can find me on Twitter, same way. My band Craving Strange is on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of that as Craving Strange Music and cravingstrange.net. You can find us, Bacon is My Podcast, baconismypodcast.com. Check it out. Check out our sponsors and get some cool swag. We got some cool t-shirts.
And all the
stuff.
socials, at Bacon is My Pod.
Yep.
You could find me at Me My Own Self Mike on all the socials, the Twitters, the Instagrams, the Facebooks. The band I am in is called Something Heavy at Something Heavy Music. That's everywhere too. And that's
we're
it,
a band called Bacon is My Passion. You can
Yeah.
listen to us on Spotify. We have a couple songs up there. We're always
Yeah.
doing more. And this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Patti Negri, for being a part of the podcast. The Good Witch of Hollywood.
Yes.
And always ask yourself, everyone,
what's your bacon? Okay, so in a world of streaming services, where can you find breaking news, live sports, and a mountain of entertainment? Look no further than Paramount Plus. With plans as low as $5.99 per month, you'll gain access to the following: live news from both national and local CBS networks, live sports from the NFL, NCAA, PGA, and much, much more. Your favorite MTV, BET, Nickelodeon, and Comedy Central shows from past and present. New original content like The Stand or Star Trek Picard or SpongeBob's Camp Coral. Smithsonian Channel shows and documentaries, movies, and much, much more. Go to baconismypodcast.com, click on the sponsors tab, and click on that Paramount Plus link, and open yourself to peak streaming service. That's baconismypodcast.com. Click on the sponsors tab, then on the Paramount Plus link, and dive into thousands of episodes, live TV, original series, and hit movies right now. Do it.